Welcome back to Civil 3D tutorial for Deliverable 1. In this video, we're going to be going over the UI and basic navigation inside Civil 3D. It's a pretty daunting workspace. There's a lot going on here, but hopefully I can break this down for you in a way that makes sense. And you can watch this multiple times and you'll get more used to it as you go along with the project as well. So just to start, you can see my cursors here. This is my crosshair. You can see my crosshair changes into just a regular pointer anytime I'm outside of this big box. This box is your model space. This is where all of your actual drawing gets done and where you can interact with all of the elements you make. Very similar to any of the Microsoft products, such as Word or Excel, we have a top ribbon here, and this contains most of the tools, information, add-ons, features, anything like that we need here. So we have a Home tab, Insert, Annotate, Modify, Analyze, View, Manage, Output, Survey, Rail, Transparent, InfoWorks, Collaborate, Help, Add-ins, and Feature tabs. Now, that's a lot of tabs, but you can rest assured we're mostly just going to stay in the Home, Insert, Annotate, Modify, and Analyze tabs. So we're mostly just going to be using the front five. We'll use View sometimes too, but these other ones you don't really have to worry about too much. Now this is a dynamic ribbon, so you can shrink it, you can minimize it, you can expand it. I like to keep it totally open because I like being able to see all my tools. But if you're ever opening a project and you're like, where did the ribbon go? See to make sure that everything is open. Right above this ribbon, we have all of the kind of global Civil 3D controls. So up here in the top left corner, this is your typical file controls, creating, saving, exporting files, and there are just shortcut buttons up here that do a lot of those as well. This is also where the undo and the redo button live, but I highly recommend just getting used to using keyboard shortcuts. For example, Control Z to undo is a lot faster, and you can also see that Civil 3D has its own shortcut that you can look at too. You can also press F1 to hover for more help. So Civil 3D has a very extensive forums and help and documentation on the website. So don't be afraid to look at those. Look at Piazza. Look at the FAQ document that one of the other TAs put together. All of these and office hours as well are resources for you to use. Moving down a little bit onto the actual ribbon, you can see on the Home tab, this is where a lot of the main controls live. Will be here the most often. Insert is where you can pull in any other files, images, data, survey data, anything like that. Annotation is really for clarity. It's for markup. You can add text, you can add arrows, everything like that. And then the Modify and Analyze tabs are more advanced, and we'll get into these in later deliverables. Moving one step below that, like I mentioned in the previous video, this is where all of your projects live in this little bar. So you can see you always have access to the start screen where you can create a project, open an existing project, view your recent projects. That always exists here, and any additional files will just populate to the right here. Just be careful of opening too many files at one time. Civil 3D can really start chugging on you and running slow. There's also this helpful 3 bars here where you can see a full overview. For example, if I opened a new project here, this now shows everything, so that's for easy navigation. I'm just gonna close this out, we don't need it. You'll also notice there's a similar bar on the bottom. So on the bottom here, we have another triple line to indicate an organization file of sorts. And you can see here that there's a model file and 2 layout files. The model file is the drawing space. This is where you can actually create your projects. The layout files or layout tabs are where you can create those plan sheets and plan sets, that we use to actually export our design and communicate it for real construction. So we'll be down here a lot as well. Moving to the right down here, you can see a tab here that says model. This just confirms that you're in the model space. If you ever open Civil 3D and all of your ribbons and controls totally different, the first thing I would check is that the ribbon is maximized, and the second thing I would check is if you're in model space. Besides model space, there's paper space, and so that just switches between the model and the paper space. And there's actually one more hidden control here. If you go all the way down, you can see here in the settings icon that there's different presets of sorts. So there's the Civil 3D preset, there's a drafting and annotation preset. This makes Civil 3D act like more of a stock CAD program. So you have your basic CAD tools here, which we'll go over. And there are other presets as well, such as 3D modeling, embedding, and analysis. So if you ever open it and you're like, this doesn't look like what I'm used to, check this settings icon and that you're on the actual Civil 3D toolset. Continuing on, I know there's a lot here. I'm sorry, I didn't make the program. I'm just trying my best with what I got. In the left space here, we have the tool space. Here it contains the prospector, the settings, the survey, and the toolbox. The survey and the toolbox, I can already tell you, you'll basically never go in here. You can not worry about those. The prospector is sort of your object control for Civil 3D. So if you think about a programming language, when you create a variable or create a function, all of those live somewhere on a hard drive or in a computer program. And this is Civil 3D's version of that. So this is where it stores all of your points, surfaces, alignments, anything you create gets put into here. And this is where you can easily access them, edit them, select them, or change any settings that you want with them. Will be in here a lot. The setting space is way more advanced. This is where you can go in and fine-tune styles and commands and adjustments. This is everything Civil 3D has to offer here. For example, you can go into surface styles and you can create new styles or update existing styles. And this is all stuff that we will go over and use throughout the project. As previously mentioned, this is the model space. One of the interesting things about the model space, even though there's nothing here right now, this is actually a full 3D model space. So you can see here, there's a navigation control here, and you can click this box and kind of change the way the space is orientated. So it's really hard to picture because we don't have anything yet, but we'll show it to you later when we do. But now I'm looking at it from an isometric viewpoint. You can see here from the southwest. Now I'm looking at an object front on, and now I'm going back to the top view. The top view is what we use the most often. Civil engineering design is primarily a top-down construction. We use plan views the most. You'll learn about what a plan view is if you have not already. So you really want to make sure this is on top, but don't be afraid to use this to your advantage if you're trying to get a different look at something that you're drawing or designing. This toolbar here is really helpful for people who are using a trackpad. It helps you change between different control schemes, such as pan and magnify and zoom. I highly recommend just using a mouse. I think it's way more helpful. Otherwise, you have to deal with this kind of clunky box to navigate, and I think it is a lot harder. So really recommend a mouse. And because of that, I'm just going to close this out. I don't need it. But if you need it, feel free to keep it. Lastly, this right bar here has a bunch of extra tools. Honestly, I don't know what any of these do. I wouldn't ever use it. I'm sure you can find uses for them, but it's not the thing that you'll need to be doing for this class. So I would just take this and right-click it and get rid of it. And that just gives you a little bit more screen real estate, which is great for being able to make your drawing. The last thing to go over here, and sorry this is very long, is the command prompt right here. Civil 3D natively accepts all typing as a command. So if I just start typing anything, you'll see it'll pull up a little command prompt, and that's the same thing as typing here. So for example, if I want to make a line, I can just type in line, and then all of a sudden I can make a line. So don't try to use your keyboard to navigate. It won't really work. And we'll go over further navigation tools in a couple videos from now. But just know that anytime you start typing in Civil 3D, it will automatically default to you typing in a command. This might seem annoying at first that you don't have easy control for those of you who are used to playing video games, for example, using WASD to move around in the workspace, but it really helps speed up your workflow as you get more used to Civil 3D. I think that's all we have to go over here. And in the next video, we'll talk about changing the background you saw in a previous video. Mine was white. I'll talk about why I did that and how I did that.